So our next presentation about thinking about examples in practice from industry and regulators is Matt Scott from AsureQuality. Matt's going to be talking about from overalls to lab coats, the future of meat inspection. Welcome, Matt.
Cool, thank you. Kia ora koutou, Matt Scott. I'm the innovation lead at AsureQuality, so I'm going to very quickly whip you through what we've been up to at AsureQuality in the artificial intelligence and machine learning space, and in particular within the realm of meat inspection. One little disclaimer before I start, a lot of the projects that we've been working on I can't talk about in too much detail because of non-disclosure agreements and the like, but what I am going to talk about is how we've gone about what we've done and some of the learnings we've had, so hopefully there's some value in that for this audience. Quick outline of the presentation for the next few minutes. A little bit of background to give some context. Why we're experimenting with this stuff at AsureQuality, what it is we've done, how we've gone about it, what we've learned, and then what comes next. There's a photo there on the right which pretty accurately captures the historical progression of technology in the realm of meat inspection over the last 125 or so years. There's plenty of exciting opportunities to innovate. I'm sure that some of this audience were familiar with AsureQuality, but for those who aren't, just to give some background, AsureQuality has the Māori name Kaitiaki Kai, which translates loosely to the Guardians of Food, and we provide food quality assurances throughout the supply chain. We're a state-owned enterprise, so we are owned by the government, but we compete commercially for our work and return a profit to our one shareholder. There's about 1,800 people spread literally across the entire country, and the organisation's existed in one form or another under different names since 1896. So most of what AsureQuality does fits into sort of three kind of buckets. We do a lot of food testing. We have laboratories, including our Auckland lab is, I think, the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. We do a lot of auditing, and then about a third of our business is made up doing meat inspections. So yeah, traditionally AsureQuality has answered the question for people, is this food safe to eat? But I think as we're moving forward from this point into the uncertain future where trust becomes more of an issue around food and consumer preferences play a bigger part, we're moving more into the space of, does this food align with my values, and is this food what it really says that it is? And what we do underpins a lot of market access requirements to enable exports. So within AsureQuality's meat inspection services, just to give you a bit of background, there's 650 meat inspectors. So we've got humans at every meat processing plant in the country, 68 of them, looking at every single carcass that comes down the line. So it's 28 million carcasses per year. And there's a picture there of a gentleman with a large moustache inspecting a lamb carcass in Christchurch over 100 years ago. And what he's doing in that picture is pretty much unchanged for what you'll see happening in meat plants today. Oh, there's a little background about me. I'm not a food scientist or a data scientist. I actually studied creative arts and business, probably two fields that a lot of scientists in the room might be skeptical of. I worked in recording studios for 18 years. I did teaching for 10 years, and I've spent the last 8 years or so pulling some of that, facilitating the creative process knowledge through to startups and consultancies, particularly in the field of Internet of Things and mostly in agri-tech. So yeah, why is AsureQuality experimenting with artificial intelligence and machine learning? So AsureQuality has an innovation and insights team. We've done a bit of strategic foresight work. We've played out some different scenarios and recognise that artificial intelligence plays an important role in the preferred future that AsureQuality wants to play. So from that, quite quickly, put in place a safe environment to start experimenting with artificial intelligence. So there's some user guidelines and guardrails put in place quite quickly to allow our people who work for AsureQuality to start experimenting with AI within the business without putting our precious company data and our customers' data, uploading it to the cloud and such. So yeah, just recognising there's been a bit of work going on before we just started experimenting with the AI, putting those building blocks in place. Our digital transformation team as well has been working on a journey for the past couple of years, which has enabled this. You don't need to see the detail in the picture there, but at the top right is our old data architecture about 2 years ago, which looks kind of like spaghetti and has been moved to look more like building blocks, Lego. So yeah, this artificial intelligence experimenting we're doing is some of the early work that's going into our newly built data architecture and data lake. We're using futures thinking and scenarios as well to think about the implications of AI on our workforce for strategic workforce planning and the roles that we'll need to think about in the future. There's a picture there of a dairy auditor from the future. All the images I generated had dairy auditors drinking several glasses of milk. There's no elephants in the room though. So in general, we've identified that our people will need to adapt to work alongside AI systems. They're going to be interpreting results. They're going to be detecting and investigating anomalies and outliers, exceptions, and by automating some of the traditionally manual and perhaps repetitive tasks, we can free our people up to do higher value work. There's a picture of a futures thinking workshop that I ran last year with 100 of the meat inspection team. So there's 2 workshops there, one in the North Island, one in the South Island, and we had all the plant supervisors in a room thinking through some scenarios, and ultimately came out of that recognising that we think a future with an independent state-owned food quality assurance agency benefits all of New Zealand Inc. And that if there's going to be technology developed in the realm of meat inspection, that AsureQuality should have a hand in the development of that. So we came away with a long list of opportunities to start experimenting with. A couple of nice kind of metaphors that came out of the workshops there. One of the groups used the metaphor they want to go from overalls to lab coats with meat inspection. And another group said from meat inspectors to protein processing quality experts. So yeah, we've got a list of stuff to start trying out, and in general, all of it is adding more value for our customers. So yeah, I travelled to Kuala Lumpur last year and presented the work we did, how I did these workshops to a conference which is hopefully going to be published in a journal very shortly. So yeah, the approach for how we've started doing this is maybe a little different for some people. In our innovation team, we recognise that it's impossible to tell a good idea from a bad idea. So we make lots of little bets and then see which ones grow. We recognise that the ultimate waste is building the wrong thing that nobody wants. So we've started quickly and taken a rapid prototyping approach. There's a picture there of the first prototype of our meat inspection, automated meat inspection proof of concept, transmitting its first image, which was a old tin of spaghetti full of old screws in my garage workbench. So putting these incomplete rapid prototypes into the hands of our users as soon as possible, starting with the bare minimum, adding features one at a time, has got us moving, got us some runs on the board, and got some momentum going around the project. Another big part of being able to do this has been opening up the space to be able to innovate. Implementing the tech's actually relatively easy, but bringing everyone on the journey to be able to do that has been a large part of this project. I've got a proverb there from some colleagues in the Pacific community. There should be nothing about people without them. We go together. So we've made an effort with this work to get people in a room around some sausage rolls and talk through what it is we're up to and bring everyone with us. So there it is. The first automated meat inspection proof of concept. It's an off-the-shelf security camera that costs $140. Plugs in with one cable, which is the power over Ethernet, and it sits in an off-the-shelf metal box. We've got it in an operational meat plant now, collecting data. We started just with one species. We've started on bovine cattle because the carcasses are split in half, and that makes it easy. We're looking for one pathology just on carcasses. And yeah, we've very quickly got the technology to a point where it's working and it's doing what we thought, and we're starting to collect images for training the AI model. So yeah, I think the biggest learning so far, we spent a year sitting around talking about doing this before we decided to just start and do it and learn, and that's been really valuable. Setting up that safe to fail environment. We haven't jeopardized any of the existing processes and running the experiments. And then, yeah, we're learning quickly by trying stuff out, seeing what works, pivoting, changing. And as has been said a number of times today, the technology's moved quickly, even since we've started doing this. And one of the biggest learnings we've had is now that we've implemented this, we've realized from a tech perspective, the technology is indifferent to whether we're uploading images of carcasses or maybe some other things that AsureQuality looks at. It's all just ones and zeros. So we're looking at other use cases that this can translate across to. Next steps are illustrated in the picture here. When it was Midjourney, generated this picture of the future of meat inspection, I thought, well, that's ridiculous. But I remembered a quote by the futurist Jim Data, that every idea that's useful about the future should appear to be ridiculous at first. So I don't know, maybe this is what we're heading for. Next steps, we're about halfway through collecting the images we need to train our initial model. Hopefully from that we can prove the concept and output a technical case document and transfer the learnings from bovine across to ovine as soon as possible, and then to other use cases. So yeah, that's what we're up to at AsureQuality. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Questions for Matt? Question here.
Thanks, Matt. It's great, and it's great to see the design thinking approach that you followed and that rapid prototyping. It's always nice to see that we're doing that, and it's becoming more and more a thing, I think, for New Zealand. Question I've got is, when you went through your design thinking and you started doing your prototype, at the risk of reinventing the wheel, did you guys consider the AI-driven work or deployment in the US that vets currently use to do image analysis? Because, I mean, that industry is owned by the pet food industry. Effectively, they employ most of the vets in the US. And the pet food industry has invested heaps into image analysis of pets and animals. So did you guys consider that? And was there anything off the shelf you could deploy?
Yeah, short answer, yes. We did look internationally at what was out there and available, and picked a couple of international offerings to start working with. So we did start this proof of concept in partnership with one international tech company. So yeah, we're working with international tech providers to develop the solution.
To finish off, there was sorry. If you look at, I think the company with Steve, it's called Datamol, they're in Europe, and they started doing exactly this for the dairy industry, and specifically for Laley.
Okay.
And the other day they quoted and saying they're now making more money out of the data they're generating than the actual equipment which they've developed. So I think there's some hope for you guys as well as you go through this. Your data may become your IP, and your IP may become your revenue for the future.
Absolutely, and I think AsureQuality is in a unique position where we're right across the entire supply chain for food, so linking up the data about genetics, feed, what's happening on farm, pulling it all together. I don't know, who knows, maybe we don't need to look at the carcasses after the animal's dead, or maybe it changes how we do look at it.
Got time for another question for Matt, if there is one? Question here.
Thanks, Matt. Great presentation. When working with machine learning and food mattress, I've always struggled to design my control, especially with meat. For training the model, what would you define your control as? Thank you.
Sure, good question. So for this proof of concept, we're keeping what we're doing with the artificial intelligence and the machine learning completely separate from what's happening with the humans at the plant. So there's no data about what the humans are doing that's being used, and there's no data from the AI that's influencing the humans from making their usual decision process. So the AI is purely, it's looking at heaps of images and it's self-learning, unsupervised, and saying, well, I've seen 600 of these, this one's different. What label would you like me to put on this thing that is different? And we have humans who will be doing the labeling, verification, and also random sampling to make sure that what the machine learning is doing is correct.
Take one more if there is one. All right. We might have run out of questions. So please thank Matt Scott from AsureQuality.